Hello there, I'm Scott. Welcome back to my 20-year film festival, picking up with another seven movies that I'm recommending from the year 2009. First, The Young Victoria. The Young Victoria is a movie about royalty. And normally I'm not big about movies about royalty, about kings, queens, princes, princesses, but this one I think is quite good. It's directed by Jean-Marc Vallée, who recently did Wild and Dallas Buyers Club. This isn't quite the same style as this one. It's more formal, steadier camera work, less handheld, but it's quite good. Emily Blunt is the main character. She's, Victoria, the future Queen of England, and she has to deal with a whole bunch of people telling her what to do and how to do it before she's actually coronated, which she doesn't like one bit. Her mother is played by Miranda Richardson, and her principal advisor is played by Mark Strong, who is the type of person that wants to control everyone and everything, and she hates this guy. She seeks advice from Paul Bettany, but that also gets her into trouble as well, because he apparently feels the need to stack her ladies-in-waiting with friends of his rather than also friends of the Prime Minister, and apparently this causes the Prime Minister some reluctance to actually see and interact with her, which is weird. I just, don't understand some of the social rules that people have to follow in this. Luckily, she does have at least one person that is very much on her side, and that's Rupert Friend, her principal suitor, the man that she's most interested in becoming her husband, and as she rules and then eventually sires heirs, gives birth to heirs who will carry on the royal line. Rupert Friend is actually playing Agent 47 in the new Hitman movie. I had no idea. You'd never ever recognize him between this movie and that one. It's just like night and day. But he is the guy basically who's writing her letters, who's trying to encourage her, trying to prompt her to use her brain, her own judgment, and everything like that. And she's quite fond of him. She becomes quite fond of him. It's a really, really good movie. Jim Broadbent plays the king, so that's really cool. But yeah, as far as movies about princes and kings and such go, it's actually really decent. The next movie I'd like to talk about is the stop-motion film Coraline, which is directed by Henry Selick, who did James and the Giant Peach. Coraline was a movie that I was just so dazzled by when I saw it. Didn't really want to see it in 3D, but I'm kind of glad I did, because, it just made everything that much more striking. There's a young girl who's just moved to a new town with her parents, kind of like Inside Out, actually, and she comes across a cat that advises her to stay away from a certain creature. She ends up getting transported to this alternate universe, this alternate version of her own reality, in which her parental figures are much more attentive to her and cook better food and play her music, and they have buttons for eyes, which is really, really bizarre. There's this whole sort of evil plan going on in the back room that she's not aware of, to try and get her to join this alternate universe permanently. It's really, really spectacular. And again, the stop motion is just so exciting. Some of the things that you see in this movie are just beyond imagination. Just like, wow, where they come up with this stuff. It's really, really exciting. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. Another movie which I like very much is A Single Man, which is directed by Tom Ford, who is a fashion designer, really, but this was his first film as a director. He's making another film, as I understand. I'm not really sure what it is. The main character is Colin Firth, who loses his longtime partner, who's played by who played Ozymandias in Watchmen? That guy. See, this is the problem. I go blank on some of these names right here. Anyway, his partner dies in an accident. He's a teacher. His partner dies in an accident, and so he's shut out of the funeral and all the sort of usual things that the family and loved ones participate in when they lose someone. And he's rather upset about that. So it's just sort of him dealing with that grief. Julianne Moore is also in this movie. She plays a close friend of his. They were in a romantic relationship at one point, but that ended years ago. And he's, sort of been, outwardly the bachelor, sort of hiding his personal life for a long time. Really good movie. Really, really terrific movie. Good drama. Another movie which I was sort of surprised by, same as The Uninvited the previous year. Sorry, not the previous year, but the previous video talked about The Uninvited. A Perfect Getaway is a movie that's directed by David Twohy, who's done the Riddick movies. A Perfect Getaway, the main characters are Steve Zahn and Mila Jovovich, and they're basically newlyweds hiking a trail in Hawaii, and they come across another set of couples, one of whom is... let's see, Timothy Olyphant is a character in the movie, and also Chris Hemsworth are a couple of people they encounter along with their respective ladies. And there's also some news stories recently about a couple that's actually been being wanted by the police because they might be responsible for some murders. So there's some tension around there. Some really, really good surprises in this movie as well. Really, really exciting stuff. I would say that if you're going to watch this movie, try not to pay attention to the order that the names are listed in the credits, because that may give away a surprise or two. But yeah, it's really, really fun movie, really exciting. I enjoyed it quite a bit. A Perfect Getaway is the name of it. Now we're getting into some of the very best stuff that come out this year. Where the Wild Things Are is a Spike Jonze film that he adapted from the children's book. And basically it's about a kid who's, not really getting along with his family, is misbehaving a lot. He ends up sort of running away and sort of immersing himself in a fantasy world in which these giant stuffed characters are talking with him, and he joins their little community. And there's a lot of really great voice talents involved in the making of the in giving the characters their personalities. James Gandolfini is the main one, really. He plays a big sort of furry horned creature named Carol. Yeah, and it's not really a kids movie. It's definitely not a kids movie. I saw this movie in a theater with a bunch of kids, and they really didn't seem to get into it all that much, because it's not the typical kind of kids movie in which there's sort of some clear objective and they either accomplish it in the end or not. This is very, very different. It's more about unresolved anger and things like that, and that's not the kind of thing that kids normally get when they go to the films. But it's a good movie, certainly, for grown-ups, and it's just beautiful looking. It's just a very, very striking looking movie. Nothing But the Truth is a film that never actually made it in theaters here in Chicago because of distribution and advertising problems, but it's very, very good. Rod Lurie is the director. He also did The Contender with Joan Allen and Jeff Bridges. It's called Nothing But the Truth. Kate Beckinsale is a journalist, and this is actually inspired by the story of Valerie Plame, but wasn't actually a direct adaptation of her story. That would be Fair Game, the movie with Naomi Watts. This is a fictionalized version, and it's sort of its own thing. It's sort of, the whole situation of Valerie Plame being outed as a CIA agent by the government is something that was sort of the inspiration for the story. In this case, it's Kate Beckinsale is a journalist who discovers that one of her neighbors, a woman whose daughter goes to the same school as her daughter, is actually in the CIA. And she is arrested and ordered to reveal her source, and she won't do it. She refuses. The agent is played by Vera Farmiga, who is in The Departed and The Conjuring. And let's see, Kate Beckinsale's husband is played by David Schwimmer, and her publisher is played by Angela Bassett, and her lawyer is played by Richard Jenkins, and the prosecutor is played by Matt Dillon. It's similar to The Contender in the sense that you've got this main character who's female, who won't give up a particular piece of information simply on principle, because she doesn't feel like anyone has the right to ask for it. And this gets her in a whole bunch of trouble. And that's certainly the case with this one. I actually like this movie better than The Contender, although The Contender is quite good as well. But yeah, Nothing But the Truth, a really, really terrific movie. And finally, the last movie I'd like to talk about from this year is actually technically a 2008 movie in regards to some parts of the world, but it didn't come out here in Chicago until early 2009. And it's directed by Kelly Reichardt. Kelly Reichardt had a movie come out last year in which Jesse Eisenberg and Dakota Fanning are working together to blow up a bridge, or a dam, actually, a dam. Night Moves, yes, that was the name of it. This movie stars Michelle Williams as a young woman trying to drive to Alaska, where she can get a good job and pretty much a free room and board along with it. But she's rapidly running out of money, and when her car breaks down, she finds herself stuck in this small town trying to take care of herself and her dog, and with very, very few options. So it's becomes sort of a desperate situation for her. Really sad movie, really kind of tense. Will Patton has a small role in this movie, but otherwise it's, mostly actors you wouldn't recognize, just basically Michelle Williams. And it's a terrific movie. I did a video recently, it was last year actually, no, it was early this year actually, on the 20 best movies I've seen that were directed by women, and this was like top of the list right here. Kelly Reichardt, yeah, she also did a Western called Meek's Cutoff that Michelle Williams also played the main character in. So that would be 14 movies from 2009. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you check out some of these if you haven't already. And please, if you do, let me know what you think, or let me know what some of the other movies that you're interested in from this particular year or other years. I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years left to go, which means I have 10 videos left to go. So it may take me a while to get through all these, but I'm going to do it eventually. And I'm still watching movies from 2014, so I'm revising my list continually. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.